the way that I come to work, there's one bar
Oh,
that
so this is
I
where
don't
the
know
night
what they
is.
do there, but I arrive in the company at 9 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
So it means I pass them like 8:45 and they are coming home. Every day. I'm like, every day of the week. Like, how?
Wales.
Then you must you like special coffee. Okay, another question. So we came from a place that almost didn't have anyone, and then huge lines over.
Oh yeah.
Any idea why? Have you heard about a bookshop in Porto?
Suddenly my desire to visit just dropped off. No.
So basically this bookstore is, let's see, because there is a little noise here. This bookshop has been around for more than 100 years. It's beautiful. I would go inside just because of the architecture and decoration. It's really, truly beautiful. Of course, since 2012 has a new claim to fame. So people say that J.K. Rowling wrote in there and it was a frequent guest. And what we know for sure, she was one of the professors of English in the British School of Porto near the sea. She did live here in the 90s and she did write in the sea. That is why we know there are facts. Now most businesses do claim to have a relationship with her or to the story, so people, there are facts that they couldn't find. Some other places, because recently she has had some controversial opinions, do the exact opposite. So they do say, you are free to commit, she was never here. Business is being done either way. So this bookshop, if you want to pass through and take a peek, it's very beautiful. If you want to visit it, I would go after 4 p.m. because otherwise this is the line all of the time. And the line is just because everybody has booked tickets. It's a very old structure, so there's a limited amount of people that can be in at the same time. So you always have the line. I would go after 4 p.m. and usually if it's better weather, there's a lot more people. Okay. I haven't been in since in Spain. It used to be like free. And yeah, so if you buy a book, if you know for sure that you're buying a book, it's refunded into the ticket. Yeah. Let's continue.
It's like wow.
The thing is, the original one, it came that way because of the exhibition of copper. This was painted last year. It just still hurts a little bit my eyes.
Some teams have got this stuff.
If the Lions, my parents know that I'm here, this is a very important geographical point in the city because it connects Old City, connects the river, connects the new parts of the city. So it's kind of a triangular, important part of the geographical map of the city. So, also, it has a few issues with civilians and religious people. Why? Can you see that white building next to the church right there? Okay, that white building was a monastery filled with monks in isolation. Those monks did not want to share their church, Carlos Church, with the rest of the civilians. But as I told you, fantastic junction of different places in town. People would like to come into service here, and it was quite handy. So what they had to do was find a solution to this. Pause on that story, okay? We'll be back. On the other side, we have the construction of the smallest house in Porto. We can see it from here. I have to tell you, I'm being a little bit mean because I'm gonna ask you to guess it. But it doesn't look like a house, and it's not rented as a house since 91. Okay? Please let me know where it is.
Green door?
Hmm?
The green door?
Very good guess, but actually the entrance of our sewers.
Oh. Very smelly house.
Any other ideas?
Looks like
Also
that.
very good idea,
But
but
no.
no. Does not look like a house.
21 century.
Doesn't look like a house.
Yeah, I live there.
What about that?
Shed over there.
What were you
Church?
pointing to? Oh, you're very close.
Oh,
very,
very
very
close.
close. Okay, let's pick up where you left off in the other story. We had to create another church to accommodate the civilians, so there would be full separation between monks and civilians. So that was the beginning of the other church on the side. So you have a tower for each church, and the other side is called Carmelitas. So can you see the both churches right now? Okay, so now Vatican has a rule that says no two churches can share the same wall.
Small bit in the middle between the
Yes,
two churches.
it is. So that white window over there between the two churches,
Oh.
smallest house in Porto. It was rented until 91. I can do this inside. My father is a little bit bigger, he can too, but he almost reaches the wall. Very small. Right now it's not used as a house, it's used as the archives of the church, but it was constructed for the purpose of housing.
Hard question. That was hard.
I know. I went.
Should have pointed. Give it a go.
I say, where is the house? Okay, and behind us we have the first building of the University of Porto. University of Porto right now has 3 campuses around town. One right there where the new building starts. Then we have one in the outskirts of the city and one near the sea. We have almost every course imaginable, and one of our courses is considered best in the world. It's the industrial engineering. Okay, so since 95, this is the rectory, so if you need any information about the school, you can come here. But I have to say, a lot of people go specifically on the faculty they want to know. Then you have the Museum of Knowledge. If you are, we have a tradition in the city and actually in the country. If you are a university professor that is retiring, your last class is public. So you choose the topic. Usually people choose the topic they are most versed in, or some topic that they decided to dedicate their career to. They will give the class in here, and everybody can come and learn. It's very fun. Also, you have merchandise art, all of that. So I can guarantee you, even though it's the most important building of the university, is the one that students never come to. But I have to tell you, a lot of students come around here because that street right there is full of their favorite bars. There are usually much cheaper bars because they are like the target is the students. Right now they are not very happy with the conditions in front of the bars. But yeah, if you see a lot of people dressed in full black suits and black capes, you'll see university students. Another thing that people take inspiration from. So in Harry Potter, the Hogwarts uniform is a black suit with a black cape. Ours is as well. Ready to continue?
Yes.
That's it. You have to think in the terms of historic time, not really our time, but military dictatorship and then civil dictatorship. We only live in democracy for 50 years. Okay, since 74 until now. So before we're still like new to this, but it's going well. but like in historical terms. But I'm first generation in my family living in democracy. My parents lived until their 20s in dictatorship. So my mother still remembers going to school, for example, crossing this square, hearing the catcalling of the prisoners. So it was completely different, the times. When she would come out of school, gender separated schools, all of the little girls would come out and there would be people not identified as policemen at all. They would come to the groups of the little girls and say scatter, scatter, because groups with more than 3 people, like we are doing right now, was considered a crime or a beginning of a riot. Little girls from school starting a riot. It would be fantastic, but
Conspiracy.
yeah, it was probably difficult to find.
Yeah, approximately how long after King Edward?
Ian was very briefly our king. Unfortunately, judgments.
Okay.
Yeah. So you would have huge trials and then you would present the prisoner.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, not fantastic history. But it's kind of cool going inside a museum that is completely built. He died in 68. So the last 6 years of the dictatorship was a person that was a little bit more open-minded than the first one, but truly didn't have the power to change the regime. So the revolution was quite peaceful, calm one. What happened was in Lisbon, in the night from the 24th to the 25th of April, they concocted a plan, the military men, 5 military men, that started with overpowering the radio station. That would prevent news of any kind of movement to go out. Also, they could communicate with each other seamlessly. So they chose a song, put the song on the air, they heard the song, they knew it was time to go. So second song came on the radio and they knew it was time to actually show that the revolution was happening. So around the palace of the dictator, all of these people surrounded the palace and put the tanks and the cars of the military blocking all of the streets. To invite all the civilians to go was really difficult because in time of dictatorship you see any kind of policial force, you run to the other side. So actually it took a lot of convincing, saying this is gonna end today, we are doing this for everyone's benefit. Everybody came to the street. And also in Lisbon there was a lady that was going to work normally to a restaurant that had its 1-year anniversary, so it was full of flowers. And she got there and the manager said, take the flowers, it's just they're gonna spoil and there's happening a revolution. So the thing that they did was take all of the flowers, red carnations, and started giving them away to people. But that lady chose to give them to the military that was during the revolution. And the military men took the flower and in sign of a peaceful revolution put it in the can of the rifle he was having in his back. So to this day that is the symbol of a revolution, a rifle with a carnation inside.
That part I remember.
Yeah. Here, completely different scenario. You know, all of the ways of communication were controlled. And truly, in 74, you would not take a cell phone and call your parents or your family. We didn't know anything about anything that was going on until 11 a.m. the day after. So all of the negotiations are happening in Lisbon. Here, my uncles and aunts are just going to work. And around 11 a.m., for example, my aunts are all teachers. They just got calls saying, oh, something is happening in Lisbon, your uncle called or your aunt called. They are saying that something is happening, maybe you shouldn't be teaching at this moment. This happened in all of the professions, in all of the places. So our city kind of stopped at 11 because everybody came to the streets. When they were realizing what was actually happening, all came here because if everything went well, this was a political prison. So all of the prisoners would come out. So this was the place of the revolution for us. And it still kind of is. If you have any kind of peaceful protest, if you are demanding something, if you are having a demonstration, if you are demanding like human rights or anything, chances are your march will come here and people will be gathering in the garden to talk about things.
So, to cut this to the chase.
Parliament, main figure, Prime Minister. Also, it's a dual system because we also have a president. So prime minister has almost all of the power. President is a little bit like a king in a way of doing the marketing for the country. So he has mainly two powers. First power, we call it the atomic bomb. He can dissolve government. So if somebody misbehaves, if there's no governability, if the armament, for example, the budgets are not approved, he will dissolve parliament. It has only happened twice in our history of 50 years. And then another power, but it's mainly a power for show. He can veto a law once, but if the same law passes through him, he cannot veto anymore. So basically he's saying, think it over in a very public way. So mostly people don't dare pass the exact same thing twice, but it's mostly for show. But yeah, all other decisions, government, assembly.